Welcome back to another episode of Rennch. On today's show, we are going to marry two of my favorite things, vintage Porsches and vintage BMX. So this is a bit of an in-between-isode as I have managed to injure myself with my blaster. I had a very freak accident last Monday that sent me to the ER, then an overnight stay at the hospital, and I have what can best be described as an open bullet wound in my left thigh. I will spare you the gory details. If you'd like to see it, you're welcome to DM me on Instagram at Rennch, and I will show you the picture, but I'm not going to put it here. That happened the day before I was to bring the Blasphemy build to the paint shop. So I spent the entire week in the hospital and then on my couch, obviously not going to the paint shop. So I can't move around very well right now. I'm still hoping to get the Blasphemy build to the paint shop next week, but for now, we have a very fun project to do. Those of you with eagle eyes may have seen my BMX freestyle bikes hanging in the garage. I was totally a BMX kid growing up, basically from age 12 to 27, a full-time freestyle rider. I gotta say, I still have some chops. There's bar endos, there's decades, there's whiplashes, there's 270 drop-ins. I can still ride a little bit, not as good as I used to, but it's still pretty fun for me to get out. So a little while back, my buddy John Bulgens from Haro reached out and told me about an event happening down in San Diego in Carlsbad that is the 40th anniversary of Bob Haro creating Haro and the Master. And they're having this huge event where people are flying in from all over the world to do this big ride. And it's crazy for me as a kid growing up on the East Coast, now living basically where I see all of the magazines that used to feature back in the day, like back when I was a kid. So it's very cool that I get to actually go to these places, some of which aren't here anymore, like the Pipeline in Upland is not here anymore, or the Del Mar skate park. But for me to go to like Huntington Beach and ride with Eddie Fiola and Martin Aparicio, which I can do literally every Tuesday, is kind of mind-blowing. Anyway, I think it's important for you guys to know the marriage between BMX and Porsche. For over 40 years, Porsche has been synonymous with BMX and freestyle bikes. From possibly the most famous shot of Stu Thompson jumping over 3 911 turbos, to Woody Itzon's Carrera convertible, to the BMX Action Trick Team, comprised of legends Mike Buff and Arl Osborne jumping over a friend's 944, to Eddie Fiola's AIR-bodied 935, to this, most iconic illustration of this wide-body 911, absolutely stacked with BMX bikes, by Bob Haro in 1977, that none other than Lufka Cult used on posters and this very green t-shirt that I'm wearing in this video. It's my intention that I can pay some respects to this amazing image by loading my own BMX bikes up on the Grey Ghost to take to Bob Haro's 40th anniversary event. Now, I want to do my best to recreate that image that Bob Haro drew back in the day. So to recreate that photo the best way I could, I need a roof rack for this car, which is a 1969 Porsche 911 RSR. And I reached out to my friends over at Rennline, who've been so nice to sponsor the Blasphemy build, but they make this incredible vintage-looking roof rack. So it comes in powder-coated black or silver. I opted for the black. So we're gonna do our best to first get the thing assembled and then figure out how I'm gonna mount bikes to it, because it has no accommodations for mounting bikes. I do have some roof rack stuff here, so I'm hoping I'll be able to modify some stuff and get it to work. But let's get the rack together first. I gotta say, every time I do anything that Rennline makes, it is so precision. They do such a good job making it precise, like it just fits like a glove. Now that we have the rack built, I'm gonna grab one of my bikes and figure out how we're gonna mount this thing. So this is my Haro Lineage Master. This is their flatland frame, because that's mostly what I'm into. And I gotta figure out how to mount this thing there. I'm really excited for this event because I have this lovely chrome wheel and John's gonna get me the matching wheel. So I will be all chromed out on this bike. To get those two to talk to each other, I have a head from a roof rack that I've had for a long time. This is from a company called Rocky Mounts based out of Boulder, Colorado. All right, so I've got holes right here. And this is a cast part, so I can't really weld anything to it. So I'm hoping this is gonna work. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, good. All right, I'd like to introduce you to the other bike in my stable, which is a EF Pro Former. This is made by Eddie Fiola, and it's meant to recreate the GT Performer of the 80s. It's got all of the, pretty much it's a GT Performer, but with all modern accoutrements. It's got brake bosses that you can mount modern brakes. It's got modern geometry. It just feels like a new bike. It even has the smaller, chain wheel. Feels like a new modern bike, but has all the vintage stuff. This in particular is not only signed by Eddie himself, but this one is serial number 002 and Eddie has 001. So it's a pretty special bike, and I'm excited to get this thing on the roof of the Gray Ghost. The big challenge here is that these dropouts fall below the mounting point. So I don't know how I'm going to handle that on this thing yet. So I've got to pull the wheel on this thing as well and see how this thing is going to mount up. So I've got this thing clamped to the rack. I don't love the fact that I have to turn the bars around. It just doesn't look very good, but you can see the dropouts of this fork are like 2 inches up from the bottom of the fork, so it hangs below. That is not the case for the other bike where the dropouts are on the bottom. So there's a chance that eventually I'll get a new fork for this bike. But this might be the only way I can really accommodate both bikes. I was kind of worried that the wheels were going to hit my window of my car, but that is not the case at all here. So this is pretty good. I'm going to see how it looks with two bikes and see if I can manage to stop the handlebars from interfering with each other. So I think I need to move this a little bit closer together. Pretty easy to do. I got plenty of space here. All right, I'm going to mount these things up with one bolt on each side to make sure they're secure before I do the other one. That way I know that my bolts are in the exact right spot. These mounts have these captive cutouts in the casting, which is really nice. Oh, it's perfect. Totally perfect mount. Yeah. All right, mission accomplished, I think. All I need to do in the back is put some small bungee cords to keep the wheels in their rightful spot, aligned with the rest of the bike. But yeah, dudes, that's killer. All right, so that looks really good. I'm gonna pull the bikes off now and go test fit the rack on the car to see how it fits. And God, crossing my fingers, I'm second guessing myself that I have the right bar, the right front bar and the right back bar, because it's just a little bit different. So I hope I didn't mess that up. If I did, the whole geometry of the rack is gonna be wrong, but let's just fucking cross our fingers. Anyway, pull the bikes off, get the rack on the car, see how it looks, and figure out where to put my little stickers. So the car is actually pretty clean, but I'm going to hit it with some quick detailer where I'm going to put these stickers and make sure it's super clean. And then I can use this same stuff for like some water that I can squeegee out. So you can see I've marked the car with some tape. That's going to give me the general idea of where these things need to go. Now this clear tape is made specifically to protect cars against roof rack damage. That's why they were engineered. So hopefully it will keep the Gray Ghost paint as nice as possible in these spots. So I'm really just digging into all the crevices here and making sure that the body itself and the gutter is really clean. I grabbed a squeegee that I use for body work for this task. And these things are really made of, like, it's hard to describe. They're very stiff and yet flexible, but they feel like they're durable. So they've got a backing on them that I can't seem to get off. You're done now. You've done your job. There you go. There you go. There you go. This is probably kind of the same stuff they make Clear Bra out of. I don't know that to be a fact. So I'm going to give this thing a really light shot. Try to work it here into the crevice. Squeegee the water out on the edges. Well, that wasn't my best work, but it's on there. Take 3. Gonna try something else. Nope. Hey, get in there, dog. Okay, what I just discovered about that process, by the time I got to the 4th one, I abandoned doing it with any moisture. All I did, if you have to do this, is I made a little square. I stuck it first to the outside edge of the gutter, or the rain gutter, and then I worked my fingers over so it hooked around it, and then you can just use your finger to dig in to the trough, and then do the same thing on the other side. It's way cleaner, way smoother, way easier than trying to get the moisture out of these little crevices. So I may actually do the other ones over again, but let's see if this rack bolts on now and see how the bikes look. So Rennline gives you a little baby 3mm Allen wrench. You really need one of these. You need a T-handle 3mm to do this correctly. They also want you to put the outer feet. Let me show you guys real quick. All right, to mount this thing, you loosen the 3mm bolts on this side and then turn these things sideways. Wow, I just noticed that this thing doesn't move in the middle. That's cool. So anyway, you turn them sideways and you can just rotate them into place underneath the drip rail. To get it on the car, you definitely want to rotate them this way. The other thing I'm doing is I'm referencing the inside edge of this foot with the edge of my quarter window here. So I'm basically making a line from there to there. And that gives the rack the nice curve that I think it wants, that matches the curve of the car. Now, putting a roof rack on is kind of like tightening a drum. With a drum, you don't want to just tighten one lug and go all the way around the outside. You want to go in a crisscross pattern. Kind of the same thing with a rack, is you tighten a bit and then move it, and then tighten a bit and move it. And you want to kind of go crisscross because ultimately the feet need to settle down and you want the entire thing to be centered on your car. I think it looks dope. One of the other main benefits of having something like this is that if you do a track day, you can actually bring a spare set of wheels that have your track tires on there. I can easily mount 2 wheels on this, probably the fronts, and then put the back in the car and have a full set of race tires that I can take to a track day, which is really rad. One of the things I'll say that they did a great job is following the contours of the car, especially from this angle. You can see how the car is disappearing and the rack is disappearing with it. I just think that's a really nice design choice that they made. They were definitely paying attention to the lines of the car. Record skip. Sorry for the interruption. I hated how the yellow bike looked with its handlebars flipped around. So I had to fix that. I think it looks so much better now. I just made a little extension out of a 1-inch square bar, and it looks a million times better on the car now. You may now return to your regularly scheduled badass roof rack video. By the way, this setup where I'm just rolling with this bike on here, that's going to be my Cars and Coffee setup, I think. I'm just going to bring this to the Cars and Coffees because that's dope. I just have to make sure I don't roll out of the garage like this. Well, that is super cool to me. And finally, it kind of matches my shirt. Thank you. Special thanks to Rennline for sending this rack because it's beautiful. They do such a great job. Again, pelicanparts.com is where you can find that rack. It comes in an aluminum color and a black like I have on here now. So again, thank you for those guys. And if you are in Southern California around July 3rd, this event is going on down in Carlsbad. If you're a BMX nut like me, I think some of the legends of BMX will be there, including Bob Haro and many, many others. So if you are anywhere near Southern California and a BMX nerd like me, find your way down. DM me on Instagram if you want any more details or if you want to see my gory leg bullet wound. And thank you guys for watching. Until next time, I'll talk to you soon.